Good afternoon and welcome. Thank you for being with us today. I am A.C. Roche, President of Cranbrook Educational Community. Seeing this room filled with colleagues, with volunteers, trustees, family members, loved ones, and friends is a powerful reminder of something we don't say often enough. Cranbrook may be a beautiful place, but it's not just a place. It is a community, built and sustained by people who choose every day to contribute their most meaningful gifts, personally and professionally. At the same time, more than a century ago, George Booth and Ellen Scripps Booth imagined something beyond a place, something radical. In this educational community, art, science, and human potential would come together in service of something larger and bolder than any one individual. What they created was not just a campus. It was and is a living enterprise, one that continues to evolve through the people who care for it, teach within it, and bring it to life every single day. And that is why today matters. Because today we celebrate individuals who don't just work or volunteer at Cranbrook, they shape it, they strengthen it, and each, in his or her own way, ensures that this community continues to challenge minds and transform lives. As I kick us off today with some introductory remarks, please, absolutely do continue to enjoy the refreshments and food. This is the 37th year that we are gathering to celebrate the President's Award for Excellence. Congratulations to each of the honorees this year for being recognized as outstanding members of our community. It is an absolute privilege and an honor to celebrate you. We also owe our gratitude to President Emerita, Dr. Lillian Bauder, who served as president of the community from 1984 to 1996. In 1989, Lillian established the President's Award for Excellence. Later, she and her husband, Don, created an endowment to support this event and ensure that Cranbrook could continue to recognize and celebrate excellence within our community. Lillian reflects, quote, "Those of you who were here during my tenure know that I spoke often of the importance of people and programs at Cranbrook and the place for me. The greatest of all of these is clearly the people. They are the essence of Cranbrook's soul." As Lillian envisioned, this event honors the very, very soul of our community, excellence in its many, many forms. And from its very first year, this celebration has recognized exceptional individuals from every corner of this majestic and marvelous community. Educators, curators, artists, tradesmen and women, staff members, volunteers, and governance leaders. Lillian continues to be a trusted advisor to me and an avid supporter of our community and this award. As she cannot be with us today, we want to send her a special greeting, so I am going to ask everyone to focus up on the balcony up there, and please give a wave and gratitude. Thank you, Lillian. Know that to memorialize each year's honorees for their permanent and lasting contribution to Cranbrook, we inscribe each honoree's initials on the legs of a bench. At the time of this award's inception, Gary Griffin, artist in resident and head of the metalsmithing department at Cranbrook Academy of Art, designed and fabricated the legs of the original benches. We continue this tradition of great craftsmanship today, and I'm going to call out our own Joel Hall, who is with us, expert woodworker who creates all of the benches. Thank you. The bench for this year's honorees is on display in the lobby, so please do admire it. It will be placed close to the Greek theater, and we are thrilled by that. As I mentioned, this year we mark the 37th class of award recipients. Peers make all the nominations, and every year the accolades for candidates are effusive. Just a year ago, we celebrated wonderful colleagues in Chris Furlong, Mike Lenaway, Kieran Reynolds, and Kaja Tamakis. Thus far, 154 individuals have received the President's Award since its inception, and there are 28 recipients in attendance today. Please stand and be recognized. When we consider what makes Cranbrook unique, know that we have over 900 full and part-time and seasonal employees, hundreds of volunteer leaders, including the 475 House and Gardens auxiliary members, woohoo! Hundreds of parent volunteers at our schools, and over 160 trustees, governors, and volunteer committee leaders across our program areas, all of whom volunteer their time, advice, and support as we continue to take strategic steps and create transformational educational experiences, both on and well beyond our campus. In particular today, I would like to recognize Michael Berger, Chair of the Board of Trustees of Cranbrook Educational Community. Thank you, Michael, for being here. And thank you for your leadership of Cranbrook's fiduciary body and your deep commitment to the work on Cranbrook's long-term strategic vision. No matter how long you have been a part of this community or role that you serve in, each of us has a part to play in advancing our mission of challenging minds and transforming lives. And no one knows that better than today's honorees. Diverse in background, expertise, affinity, and wide-ranging life experience, these honorees all are united by the standard for excellence to which they hold themselves and by a passion for and dedication to Cranbrook. I am deeply grateful that I have a chance to spend some time with this year's honorees over lunch just a few weeks ago with our now traditional selfie, and wonderful conversation about how this community has inspired each of their personal and professional journeys. As is customary, our honorees have each selected a friend, a colleague, or family member to introduce them today. And so we begin with Matt Benyo. Matt's Cranbrook journey began as a student, sparked by a moment of wonder at the Cranbrook Institute of Science, which has stayed with him. Today, as director of special and summer programs, he creates those very same moments for others, helping children grow each summer, not just academically, but as creative and adventurous young people. Matt reminds us that one moment can change a life, and that giving those moments to others is how we have a true impact. To introduce Matt, I welcome Director of Schools, Dr. Jeff Suzik.
Thank you very much, AC, and good afternoon, everybody. It is a joy, and it is honestly such an honor to be here today to celebrate my colleague and my friend, Matt Benyo. Matt's Cranbrook story started more than a decade ago, although I just learned that it started many decades ago. In the school's aftercare and summer camp programs, two environments that, while they are both undoubtedly lovely, can test every ounce of one's patience, creativity, and ability to keep calm when, for instance, a camper loses for the third time in a single day their favorite Labubu that they shouldn't have brought with them to the natatorium in the first place. Matt not only survived those years, he thrived. He transformed every space he inhabited, including the Summer Art Studio, which quickly became a jewel in Cranbrook's summer crown. And he was eventually named to his current role, Director of Special and Summer Programs. And as SSP Director, Matt does what Matt always does. He makes things better and brighter and way more fun. To see Matt's work, any of his work, is to love it. He's a gifted graphic designer and a digital artist whose creativity makes pretty much every one of us look just a little bit dull by comparison. His work has a magical, effervescent quality. It's equal parts wonder, elegance, and pure imagination. It reminds us of why Cranbrook exists in the first place and why we are filled to the brim with people like Matt. Although, let's be real, there's no one exactly like Matt because he is one of a kind. Because here's the thing, Matt's unique flair doesn't stop with his incredible artistic charm. You can find it everywhere he goes, on everything he touches, and in literally everything about him. It's evident in his leadership, it manifests in his thinking, and it's woven and knit into his unique, and let's be honest, fabulous personal style. Those of us who have had the pleasure of sitting next to Matt in a meeting know exactly what I mean. At some point or another, you glance over, and you think, man, that crocheted water bottle carrier is amazing. And there it is. That sweater should have its own Instagram account. And that jumpsuit is the bomb, and while it would look terrible on me, I want it anyway. And it doesn't matter who you are or what it is you're admiring, you inevitably ask, where did you get that? And every single time, without fail, but also with true humility and a small smile, Matt says, oh, I made it. Because yeah, well, of course he did. And meanwhile, I'm just sitting there in my boring blue blazer hoping that no one takes note of it because it's really that boring. All kidding aside, it goes without saying that all those handcrafted, beautifully designed pieces are symbolic of something much larger. And that's because Matt is, above else, a maker. Yes, of art and clever camp programs and systems and practices and policies that make sense and actually work. But even more importantly than all of that, he's a maker of community. He builds authentic, lasting relationships with literally everyone he meets. He's a trusted collaborator, the consummate problem solver who somehow always finds the elegant way through. One of the things that I admire most about Matt is that he has the knack for bringing out the best in people, and that's because he's someone who always sees the best in everyone. He listens with patience, thoughtfulness. He's endlessly generous with his time, his ideas, and his spirit. He approaches every challenge, whether it's logistical, creative, or human, with optimism and a readiness to help. He's the person everyone hopes to be paired with in workshops because they know they'll end up with the discussion feeling heard, valued, and somehow a little bit happier than when they started. And outside of work, Matt continues to inspire all of us through his wonderful life with his equally wonderful partner, Hayden, and Hayden's adorable son, Ferris. Together, they are a household that's basically the definition of creativity, style, and the kind of general humor and heart that keeps Cranbrook feeling human. And truth be told, these guys are at my top-of-mind go-tos whenever something fun happens in pop culture. Mariah Carey drops a new album after a multi-year hiatus in her mid-50s. Is it sublime? Is it crap? My first thought is going to be, I wonder what Matt and Hayden think. When they're headed to New York to see some Broadway shows, I immediately want details because I've learned that anything on their docket is bound to be brilliant. And what's that I heard you say? Matt and Hayden will both be setting up shop and selling their amazing artwork at this year's Urban Craft Fair in Detroit? There's no way I'm going to miss that. Their taste is impeccable in all things: art, music, theater, design, probably even in carefully curated selections of household cleaning products. Matt, in all seriousness, you have this extraordinary and extraordinarily rare ability to make the people around you feel nothing but needed, appreciated, and loved. You radiate positivity and steadiness. You care deeply about kids, colleagues, art, design, and maybe most importantly, this place and its mission, its vision, and its values. You're the kind of leader who makes everyone else want to do their jobs better, not because you ask them to, but because your presence itself makes it seem possible. And if there's anyone all of us want to emulate in that regard, it's you. It's near impossible to imagine this place of ours without you, so we're not going to. We're just going to keep being grateful that you're here at Cranbrook and that you are reminding us constantly of what creativity looks like when it meets kindness, of what professionalism sounds like when it's delivered with heart, and how a truly good colleague and friend can mean so much to so many. So congratulations, Matt, on this incredibly earned and richly deserved honor. We are so proud of you, inspired by you, and lucky, so lucky to call you ours.
Thank you, Jeff. We have a special little surprise for Matt, as well as all of the honorees, because we have asked a few of your very favorite people to describe you in 5 words or fewer.
My grandson, Matt, is one of a kind. He's intelligent, creative, unique, and adventurous.
Creativity, baking skills, and his heart.
You're a constant warrior for our mission, always moving special programs forward to better serve our students, staff, campers, and more. I feel like you create fun miracles every day, doing the hard work behind the scenes without ever looking for recognition, which makes this award even more special, I think. I appreciate you so much as a colleague, a director, and most importantly, as a great human being. Not to mention your artistic talent. I do have an original print in my home. And let's not forget your killer sense of style. Anyways, so happy for you. Congratulations. The best is yet to come.
Love that you're always upbeat. Congrats, Matt.
Thank you for everything you do, Matt. Congratulations.
Thank you for thinking outside the box.
Matt is a positive, innovative, dependable leader.
Matt is supportive, reliable, and always friendly.
Give a round of applause for Mr. Benyo.
To describe Matt in 4 words: motivated, ambitious, talented, and thoughtful.
Matt is constantly inspiring.
Dear Matt, thank you for your care, creativity, and for inspiring so many on this campus.
Congratulations, Matt. You brighten every room you walk into.
How to describe my partner, Matt Benyo. Matt is brilliant. Matt is inspired. He is kind. Matt is so sincere. And I get to say this, Matt is gorgeous.
I chose Dr. Suzak to introduce me, but then sitting and listening to everything he said, I was like, oh man, I have to follow that now. So here goes nothing. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, AC. And congratulations to this year's fellow recipients. I am incredibly honored to receive the President's Award for Excellence. I'm feeling a little bit like Sally Field right now at the Oscars. You like me, you really like me. You laugh, but I'm serious. When I first received the notice asking if I would accept this nomination and award, my immediate reaction was, are you sure you have the right person? I was overcome with disbelief and felt a strong sense of imposter syndrome. I couldn't quite believe that anything I had done could be deserving of this recognition, especially having only stepped into my current role of Director of Special and Summer Programs only 4 years ago. And if I'm being honest, that quiet feeling stuck around longer than I would have liked. I reread AC's email more times than I'd care to admit, and felt that there were so many other people that were equally, if not more, worthy of this than I felt I was. But through some meaningful conversations with some wonderful colleagues, and a particularly affirming one with Dr. Suzak, I started to shift my perspective. First, I realized that all of the greatest folks feel some bit of that pesky imposter syndrome. It's a thing that keeps us striving to grow, to be better, and to not feel complacent. It pushes us to ask questions, listen more closely, look for areas of growth, and keep showing up with intention. Second, I came to understand that contributing to our community isn't about how long you've been here, but how you engage in the work you do. It's about consistency, care, and a willingness to jump in wherever needed. And just as important, it's about how you show up for the people around you. How you listen, how you collaborate, how you support and elevate others. The impact that we all have here at Cranbrook is shaped just as much by how we work together as it is by what we accomplish. I'm incredibly lucky to step into a community that was already blooming and that I've been able to supplement and grow alongside. Cranbrook has challenged me, supported me, and shaped me just as much as I've contributed to it. A big part of my work is summer camp. When people hear that I'm the director of summer camp, they picture the, sunblock on the nose, spending the entire summer in the woods and short shorts from the 70s, which is all very accurate for me, actually. So I guess I found my calling. But in all seriousness, I believe that Cranbrook truly is a one-of-a-kind place. What we do at camp and for our other programs is much more than just fun in the sun, which it is. It is fun in the very hot sun in these non-air-conditioned buildings. But it's more than that. The opportunities that it provides children are life-changing. Some of the most important learning happens outside of classrooms. It happens through building relationships, developing empathy, strengthening emotional resilience, fostering creativity, learning to assess risk and to solve problems, and pushing beyond comfort zones. It happens in the small, quiet moments, when an anxious camper makes their first new friend, when they try something they might have been afraid of, or when they realize that they are more capable than they first thought. It happens when a camper feels seen and valued. Our programs are intentionally designed to create space for that kind of growth and to encourage it. Looking forward, I'm excited to continue championing these opportunities, creating spaces where campers can unplug, grow emotionally and physically into the best versions of themselves, become confident, compassionate, and creative individuals, and have one heck of a summer. And beyond that, to keep asking how we can do that better, how we can reach more families, and how we can continue to meet the evolving needs of our children. I also want to acknowledge and thank my colleagues and really everyone that I work with here at Cranbrook. Through SSP, I have the privilege of working closely with people from so many different areas across campus. I have been shaped by your friendship, your mentorship, your expertise, and your heart. I find myself always learning from you, how you approach challenges and how you show up for each other. I am constantly inspired by your passion and dedication to supporting and uplifting the children and families that we serve. The generosity with your time, your willingness to collaborate, and your openness to new ideas means so much to me. I feel so lucky to be part of a community that is not only excellent at what they do, but also truly supportive and encouraging. This recognition is just as much a reflection of you and your work as it is of me. Thank you to my friends and family, Dad, Basha, Chelsea, and Hayden, for always uplifting me. Chelsea, for the full dedication that you have for our programs. And Hayden, for accepting the unique kind of crazy that is summer camp. The early mornings and the long days, and knowing that just one more email is never really just one more email. Thank you for your patience, grace, your love, and most importantly, for allowing me the chance to take a step back and see summer camp through the eyes of a parent and fully understand the magic that happens. I couldn't do this without you, without all of you. Thank you again for this incredible honor. I'm truly grateful, and I'm excited to keep doing the work.
Congratulations again to Matt. Our next honoree is Eric Canapini. As with Matt, Eric's connection to Cranbrook began in childhood, and today he is often the first face our visitors at the Institute of Science meet. As visitor services supervisor, he turns every interaction into an invitation to explore, to learn, and to belong. Eric shows us that excellence lives in the details and in the warmth and excitement of how we welcome others into our community. To introduce Eric, I welcome Reservations and Data Supervisor at the Institute of Science and herself, the 2024 recipient of the President's Award, Heather Groger. Come on up.
So I've done a lot of thinking recently about Eric and all the ways that he impacts everyone's lives around him, and he's thoughtful, he's helpful, supremely intelligent, and he works every day to transform lives via small acts of service. I can't count how many times I've received phone calls from guests that had visited the museum asking, "Can I talk to Eric? I was here last week, and Eric was so wonderful, and he told me all about the history of Cranbrook and the Institute, and we can't wait to come back, but we want to make sure Eric's going to be there." He makes all of their visits truly, truly special, and he does the same for staff. I have so many examples of his exceptional service in action, and I'd like to share one of my favorites with all of you. On my first day at CIS, I came into the west entrance. There were 800 school children that day, 800 field trippers there for the day, and they were all arriving right at that moment. I was handed a radio. I was briefly introduced to all the staff around, and I was told, "Go out on the museum floor and make sure no one is riding a dinosaur." So about 15 minutes later, I find myself in the traveling hall, surrounded by a very rowdy, energetic school group that was probably not using their best museum manners. And my first thought was, I need some help. I'm going to call Eric on the radio. Now, mind you, I'd met him for maybe 30 seconds. I'd had names and faces thrown at me, children. It was kind of pure chaos, controlled chaos. And he stuck in my mind as someone that I could rely on and that I could reach out to. So I called him on the radio, and of course, he came to the rescue and got the situation under control and told me what to do. And thanks to his assistance, no dinosaurs were injured that day. He has an exceptional ability to make every person he meets feel welcome and at ease. And he uses this ability every day to Cranbrook's benefit to greet guests, help staff and the public, sell memberships, and supervises the visitor services team at the Institute. In addition to his warm personality, Eric is a skilled technical problem solver. He likes to joke that he's good at breaking things, but in reality, he's adept at finding gaps in process and software and then bringing them to the larger team, where he's often instrumental in finding the solution. He was integral in the rollout of the Galaxy software system many years ago, and he continues to be one of my go-to colleagues when I need feedback on an improvement or need assistance in defining a suspected issue. I could not be more honored to have a small part in this evening's event and to celebrate Eric. President Roche, it's my pleasure to present to you Eric Canapini, recipient of the 2026 President's Award for Excellence.
And as Eric joins us, let's hear a few words from some fans of his.
Eric is incredibly kind.
One of my favorite things about Eric is that he is always so patient and always has some kind words and some way to help in any given situation. I'm very proud of you and so happy for you. Congratulations.
Passion for engaging the visitor.
He's thoughtful and super brainy.
Eric's awesome, kind, and overall great human being.
Dedicated, kind, and attentive.
Dear Eric, what I admire about you is that you greet everyone with a smile. Thank you for all you do and congratulations.
Always helpful and friendly.
His distinguished taste in pens.
Great job, Eric.
My favorite thing about Eric is that he is welcoming, professional, and kind.
So a very good friend of mine once told me the best we can do is our best. And obviously my best must be something because, thanks to you all, I have received this award. It's not something I ever expected. I started here as a college kid. I had a previous job that closed down and needed to take care of bills. So my father at the time was working in the exhibits and education department at the Institute, and he said they're looking for someone, see if they'll hire you. So came for my job interview. One of the first things ever asked of me was, can I stay awake? My first thing I did at the Institute was actually our overnights, where we stayed awake from midnight to 8 in the morning to make sure that we didn't have children running through the museum and nothing bad was happening. Since then, I've done way more of those than I ever want to count again. But they were fun because you never know what you'd see. 8 o'clock in the morning, having parents waking up going, don't think I'd ever wake up to a T-Rex staring me down. Since then, I have worked with many, many people all over the campus. I actually didn't know when I joined here of how much was here. The huge size of the Institute was what I knew of. But then I found, over 300 acres to enjoy. Never went through very much until I got out of college and was spending more time here, being able to go through the grounds, through the gardens, and the art museum. Sorry about that. One thing, though, is no matter everyone I've met at Cranbrook, every single person has helped shape what I do today. An art person working at the art museum, person working at the Institute of Science, we all have the same thing in common. Everybody here is with Cranbrook to expand what we do and what people know we do. Every day I walk through a way leaving here and talk to people who have never heard of Cranbrook. One of my favorite stories was a woman who walked in that lived on Lone Pine for 60 years and didn't know we were here. She left coming a couple times a month visiting us because of what she learned. No matter what, I enjoy every interaction I have with our staff, with our visitors. everybody makes Cranbrook better as they come to visit us. Some might be a little energetic when we have, as Heather said, 800 school kids coming through the museum at once, but you know they leave remembering who we are and what we are. And I'd like to thank everybody for helping shape what I do every day, and my fellow recipients on their amazing job also. Thank you.
And now, for our House and Gardens power couple, Beth and Dick Lilly. Beth and Dick have dedicated years to stewarding Cranbrook House and Gardens with care, expertise, and heart. Through every season, and especially in the most challenging moments, they have helped preserve not just a place, but a shared experience of beauty and connection that means so much to so many of us and tens of thousands of visitors every year. They remind us that stewardship is service, and service is love in action. To introduce Beth and Dick, I welcome Greg Whitcop, Director of our Center for Collections and Research.
And I want to start by mentioning whoever the clock master is, that I am introducing two people, okay? Keep that in mind. I thought this was going to be an easy introduction to, right, sit down. A rather straightforward story of two remarkable individuals, Beth and Dick Lilly, who, after mostly retiring from their stressful day jobs, found meaning as full-time plus volunteers at Cranbrook, tending the gardens and working with their peers, the 350 members of Cranbrook House and Gardens Auxiliary. And it is a remarkable story indeed. In Beth's case, trading the power suit she wore as a banker and private wealth officer with National Bank of Detroit for the knee-stained khakis and waterproof wellies you see her wearing in our gardens. In Dick's case, setting aside a demanding and much in-demand career as a market researcher in the automotive sector for his days spent trimming shrubs and building deer-proof planting boxes at Cranbrook. But the full story of Beth and Dick is far more interesting and filled with Cranbrook connections long before they gave up their day jobs for their work as two of Cranbrook's most committed volunteers. As I try to weave these lives together, let me start with Dick. For all intents and purposes, Dick grew up down the street in Birmingham. As a high school student, he attended Christ Church Cranbrook, where he was a member of the congregation St. Andrew's Guild and Marquis Club. But there was also something alluring just across the street, a big glass building filled with plants. Yes, Dick's first involvement with Cranbrook was in high school when he worked with Cranbrook's professional gardeners in the greenhouse. Meanwhile, as Dick prepared for a career in business at Walsh College, Beth was on the East Coast in Delaware, where her father worked for DuPont. Just as Beth graduated from high school, her father transferred to Michigan, and they moved to Birmingham. As fate would have it, right next door to Rita and John Lindstrom and their daughter, Judy. Rita soon convinced Beth's mother, Nancy, to get involved as a volunteer at, you guessed it, Cranbrook. This is when Beth, at least by association, first learned about the wonders of Cranbrook Gardens. With only a few months of history in Michigan, Beth was eager to head back east, where she attended Allegheny College in Pennsylvania. Summers, however, the suspense is building. She returned to Birmingham, working in sales at the Don Thompson Sport House. The first summer, she met a Mrs. Lilly, who also worked at the store. The second summer, she found out Mrs. Lilly had a son who also happened to be working in the store. Well, Beth and Dick technically did not start dating until Beth transferred to Michigan State University to study retailing. Their fate was sealed, I think, when Dick eyed Beth through the parkas at the ski shop. They got married in 1976 and spent their honeymoon skiing, of course, at Vail in Colorado. Although connections have been made to Cranbrook, the next decades were spent building their careers. Beth went on to get an MBA in finance at Wayne State University, and after a few years working as a buyer, took a position with National Bank of Detroit as a loan officer. She loved it and thrived. Fast forward some 27 years later, and still at NBD, she moved into commercial real estate and finally into their private wealth division. Picking up the threads of Dick's career, his work in the automotive sector started on the leasing and then retailing side of the field, high-end imports in particular. It was at a Volvo Lotus dealership that he was introduced to the field of market research. This is when Dick found his niche, if not his passion. After a few years working for startups in the field, he struck out on his own. Over the next 30 years, Dick established a reputation throughout North America for gathering the most comprehensive and definitive market research on aluminum and steel wheels, powertrains and chassis, and all-wheel drive systems. Beth got the itch to retire before Dick, stepping down from NBD about a decade ago, while Dick kept getting calls from clients until he finally started turning them away this past year. But long before Beth retired, she began exploring what it might look like. She became a master gardener in 1996 and started to volunteer at the Allen and Hunter houses in Birmingham, now the Birmingham Museum. It was a few years later that she picked up the phone and called her old neighbors, Rita and Judy Lindstrom, who convinced her to join Cranbrook House and Gardens Auxiliary. With Dick volunteering with her, they became known as Cranbrook Stealth Gardeners. While the other gardeners donated their time on weekdays, the Lillies worked in the gardens in the evenings and weekends. After all, they both still had day jobs. Their first project was the Welcome Center Garden, where the Cranbrook House parking lot now is located, where more than a few of the volunteers took notice of their work and were impressed. Perhaps it was Rita or Judy Lindstrom, but someone quickly provided them with a new challenge. What was presented to them as a 3-year project to tame the overgrown slope in the northwest corner of Cranbrook House. 3 years? Think again. They tamed and planted the slope in just one summer, creating what we all now enjoy as Conifer Hill. Next came the hill that led from the North Terrace to the Turtle Fountain, now tamed and planted with liriopes. Next up was the slope on the west end of the reflecting pool, which they replanted with butterfly bushes. Then came the tangle under the venerable elm tree at the southeast corner of Cranbrook House courtyard, which now is an immaculately maintained landscape as you approach the house. They both have the ability, I might say the vision, to see the potential of those overgrown corners of our 319-acre campus and wrangle them into shape, creating new vistas in the process. As they say, no good deed goes unpunished. Dick was the first to be tapped for a board leadership position, serving as the finance chair, then the chair, and finally a vice chair for the House and Gardens Auxiliary. Beth waited until she retired, joining the board in 2016. This past summer, when the newly elected chair faced an unexpected health challenge, it was Beth that raised her hand and said, "Sure, I'll become chair of the auxiliary board, no problem." While their porter to Cranbrook may have been the Gardens, over the years they have also come to know and support the rest of the community. At Cranbrook Institute of Science, they have been sponsors of Women Rock Science, while Dick also was an enthusiastic sponsor of the clay shoot. And then there is Cranbrook Center for Collections and Research, where Beth has been a member of the center committee almost since the center's public launch in 2012. Over the past decade, Beth has co-chaired our house party, served for 2 terms on the center's Strategic Direction Advisory Group, and has been a critical member of the Japanese Garden Advisory Group, a project for which she and Dick also serve as generous patrons. A special thank you goes to Beth for all the work she has been doing with me and others as the center and the auxiliary now forge a new and closer relationship. What are they most proud of? Dick tells the story of one particular May plant sale. The sale was planned to feature 150 potted trilliums, which the volunteers had rescued from construction sites throughout Oakland County. Alas, the night before the sale, our resident deer herd ate every single one of the trilliums. Dick's response was to create 36 new deer-proof planting beds, forcing the deer to move on to other delectables. Beth remembers the COVID pandemic when she worked with Beth Beadle and Rod Spearin to develop protocols for the volunteers that allowed them to safely continue their work in the garden and greenhouse, a period that saw the number of visitors to Cranbrook Gardens grow exponentially. Beth, in fact, takes great pleasure in speaking with these visitors. She even took the winter-long docent training program, not so she could give tours through Cranbrook House, but simply so she could talk more knowledgeably with our visitors in the gardens. And as if they have any extra time, Dick has been involved for the past 30 years with the annual Dream Cruise in Birmingham, where he also serves on the Board of Zoning Appeals, while Beth has volunteered at the Detroit Institute of Arts with their Friends of Art and Flowers Auxiliary, most recently serving as chair and now the treasurer. As for their own gardens at their home in Birmingham, Beth is proud of having found a way, in her words, to put them on autopilot. After all, every hour spent working in their own garden is an hour they cannot be working at Cranbrook. Among a large and dedicated group of auxiliary volunteers that for more than 50 years have maintained Cranbrook Gardens with a commitment and passion that is absolutely unique across the country, you would be hard-pressed to find 2 more remarkable individuals than Beth and Dick Lilly. President Roche, it is my pleasure to present to you Beth and Dick Lilly, recipients of the 2026 President Award for Excellence.
Let's see what a few of your great friends have to say. Come on up.
Congratulations, Dick and Beth. Thank you for Conifer Hill.
You're faithful,
hardworking
and dedicated.
The Lilies are conscientious and hardworking.
Dear Beth and Dick, I admire your deep love and care for the community and its people. Congratulations.
Dedicated, trustworthy, fun, optimistic, encouraging.
Congratulations. You both give so much.
Congratulations on the award, and thank you for all you do for Cranbrook.
Well, we were told 1 minute to 2 minutes, so that's what you're going to get. Maybe even less. Thank you, AC, Greg, and thank you especially to Rita Lindstrom. Without your mother's welcoming, we wouldn't be here. So thank you so much. It really means a lot to us to have you here. What an honor for us to be recognized and included in this illustrious list of past attendees. As you heard from Greg, Dick and I have a long history with Cranbrook, so I don't need to repeat it. I do want to thank Cranbrook for shaping our lives, especially over the last 10 years, by giving us a place to jump off in retirement. When Pat Prampreen asked me to be co-chair of Gardens Operations, I thought, what a great way to get off of the corporate ladder. And Dick had the bubble over his head that said, hallelujah, she's not going to be home to manage my life. Yeah. And then guess what? He became just as involved as I am. He became the project go-to guy. So it worked out that we're together, and I'm managing him here, but whatever.
Yes, dear.
Yeah. Cranbrook has instilled in us the importance of volunteering. It provides a beautiful canvas where we have and will continue to put our passion for gardening in practice, allowing us to give back to the community by sharing the story and the grounds of this historic campus with visitors, and importantly, introducing us to a community of volunteers, many who have become good friends. We are honored to support and carry on the mission of the House and Gardens Auxiliary, which is dedicated to preserving, restoring, and maintaining Cranbrook House and Gardens.
And I agree with everything she said.
Congratulations again to Beth and Dick. And for our fourth honoree today, a woman who is admired deeply in every corner of our community, Lori Lucre. Lori's connection to Cranbrook began as a child as well, exploring the nooks and crannies of this campus. Today, she is a steward and helps keep it running every day. In every role she has taken on, she shows up with steady heart, pride of this place, and a true team spirit. Lori reminds us that excellence is not about recognition, it is about showing up again and again for others. To introduce Lori, I welcome forward trusted, skilled mechanic, Jim Nagy.
Good evening, everybody. This is more of a personal story about Lori than, but anyway, my first time meeting Lori, long before I worked at Cranbrook, I was playing hockey in a senior men's league out of Wallace Ice Arena. I've been playing hockey for a long time and been to many arenas. I've only seen men's Zamboni drivers who were mostly mean. But there was Lori running the Zamboni with a smile. I was impressed. Eventually, I started working at Cranbrook in the landscape department, and Lori was transferred to the landscape department also. I worked with Lori on a project at the boys' middle school, planting trees along Barden Road. The woman I saw many years ago was this person I thought she was, kind, always smiling, even working with me. Lori has always been a hard worker. She is someone to depend on to get the job done. If she can't get the job done, she isn't afraid to ask for help. Lori genuinely cares about her coworkers. If it's not after hours and a coworker calls, she'll answer it. If it's working a shift no one wants, Lori will step in. Lori is dedicated to excellence. President Roche, it is my pleasure to present to you Lori LeCrae, recipient of the 2026 President's Award for Excellence.
And Lori, we will have a few words from your admirers.
Congratulations, Lori. Well deserved.
Is hardworking, dedicated, pleasant, and resourceful.
Lori is a leader who is first to volunteer.
Lori always has a smile on her face and is a team player.
Reliable, skilled, dedicated, and fabulous.
Hello. I want to say something about Lori. First of all, she's so professional and kind. She deserves this prize. And I want to say congratulations, Lori. May God bless you.
I admire your deep commitment to our community. Thank you and congratulations.
Hi, I would like to say that when it comes down to Lori, Lori has always been supportive, dependable, considerate, warm-hearted, and a wonderful friend.
Trustworthy, easygoing, accountable, and motivated. Team player.
Lori, positive, helpful, patient, strong.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Tyler, for coming out here too. I have another daughter, Brittany. She couldn't make it. Girl Scouts won. Thank you, President Roach, for accepting my nomination. I was first shocked at the nomination, and I am truly humbled to be standing here. It is with great honor, AC, that I have great respect for you, and I will hang my picture with pride. When I think of excellence, I can recall many scenarios of working with my coworkers to keep Cranbrook at its best, from working through huge snowstorms to keep the campus open for emergency access, to trying to contain Kingswood Lake from flooding over Cranbrook Road and into Brookside School, or painting an area in the building for the upcoming Parents' Day. For 36 years, I have tried to give Cranbrook my best, along with my coworkers of every department I have ever worked in. I came across a poem one day while I was doing a walkthrough through my buildings, and it really hit me. The author unknown, but titled, Winners versus Losers. Winners versus losers. A winner always has a program. A loser always has an excuse. A winner says, let me do that for you. A loser says, it's not my job. A winner sees an answer in every problem. A loser sees a problem in every answer. A winner says, it may be difficult, but it's possible. A loser says, it may be possible, but it's too difficult. A winner listens. A loser just waits until it's her turn to talk. When a winner makes a mistake, she says, I was wrong. When a loser makes a mistake, she says, it's not my fault. A winner says, I am good, but not as good as I could be. A loser says, I am not as bad as other people. A winner feels responsible for more than her job. A loser says, I only work here. I feel like I have been molding into a winner throughout my years at Cranbrook. Thanks to my dad, my stepmom, Sue LeCrae, my coworkers, and Cranbrook as a whole, each and every one of you. Thank you for allowing me to be me.
Let us give another round of applause for our honorees, Matt, Eric, Beth, Dick, and Lori. As well, I want to thank our presenters, Jim, Greg, Heather, and Jeff. Thank you. And for those truly responsible for making this event glorious, Marianne Tzeski, Erica Stefani, Holly Blonsky, and Olivia Orlando. Thank you. They are joined by our facilities, capital projects, and housekeeping teams, as well, of course, our friends at Chartwells. Thank you all. We began today with reminding ourselves of George and Ellen's vision for Cranbrook, a community in service both to high ideals and to other rather than self, for shared growth, shared gain, and shared transformational impact. As George himself said in 1927, the only way to have is to give. The only way to keep is to share. And the only thing worth finding is opportunity. For our 4 honorees, their work, their passion, and their commitment to our community and its people are emblematic of George's mandate. Matt, Eric, Beth, Dick, and Lori, with your colleagues and friends, I marvel at how your devotion to Cranbrook's ideals helps us grow and transform the lives of so many, and how you are moving Cranbrook forward. This is what we mean by excellence. Guests and friends, thank you for sharing today with us. Please remember to sign the photo mats that are in the hallway, placed on the tables. These mats will showcase a photograph from today's events for each of our honorees, and I know they hang with great pride in homes and offices. Please jot down your good wishes for each. Congratulations again to Matt, Eric, Beth, Dick, and Lori. Please linger all today and celebrate them and Cranbrook. Thank you.